The grand dining hall of the Zephyrian mothership gleamed with bioluminescent panels, casting an ethereal blue glow across the crystalline tables. Ambassador Vex Thara adjusted her ceremonial robes nervously, her 6 eyes darting between her fellow council members. Tonight would mark the end of humanity's annoying expansion into their sector of the galaxy. The humans had arrived 3 months ago aboard their crude metal vessels, speaking of trade agreements and cultural exchange. Vex Thara had smiled with her razor-sharp teeth, agreeing to host this diplomatic dinner while secretly preparing humanity's demise. The plan was elegant in its simplicity. Serve them a traditional Zephyrian delicacy laced with crimson nether toxin, a substance so potent it could dissolve the internal organs of any carbon-based lifeform within minutes. Remember, she whispered to her aide, the toxin is undetectable to their primitive senses. They will die thinking they've experienced our finest cuisine. Captain Sarah Chen led the human delegation into the dining hall, her brown eyes taking in the alien architecture with genuine appreciation. Behind her walked Dr. James Rodriguez, the mission's xenobiologist, practically vibrating with excitement at the prospect of experiencing authentic alien culture. The third member, Lieutenant Commander Yuki Tanaka, maintained her usual stoic expression while subtly scanning for potential threats. Welcome, honored guests, Vex Thara announced, her translator converting her melodic tones into perfect English. Tonight we share with you the crown jewel of our culinary heritage, the essence of the void bloom, prepared according to traditions spanning millennia. The dish that emerged from the kitchen resembled a shimmering purple soup with floating geometric crystals. Even from across the room, it emanated an aroma that made several Zephyrians step back instinctively. The crimson nether toxin had been perfectly integrated, invisible and odorless to human senses. Dr. Rodriguez leaned forward eagerly. Fascinating. The phosphorescent qualities suggest bioluminescent compounds. Captain, this could be the first recorded instance of edible crystalline matrices in xenobiology. Captain Chen smiled diplomatically. Ambassador Vex Thara were deeply honored by this gesture. This represents our species' first shared meal, a historic moment. Vex Thara's hearts raced with anticipation as the humans lifted their utensils. Soon their expansion would end, and the Zephyrian Empire would reclaim its dominance. She watched as Captain Chen took the first spoonful, followed immediately by her companions. The reaction was not what Vex Thara expected. Dr. Rodriguez's eyes widened, not with pain but with delight. Oh my God, this is incredible. The flavor profile is unlike anything on Earth. There's this underlying heat that builds gradually, almost like a cross between wasabi and ghost pepper, but with floral notes that... He paused mid-sentence as his face flushed red and beads of sweat formed on his forehead. Vex Thara leaned forward, expecting to see the first signs of organ failure. Instead, Dr. Rodriguez grinned widely and took another larger spoonful. Captain, you have to try more of this. The endorphin release is phenomenal. Lieutenant Commander Tanaka, whose own face had turned an alarming shade of crimson, nodded enthusiastically while somehow maintaining her military composure. It's like the spiciest ramen challenge back in Tokyo, but elevated to an art form. Captain Chen, tears streaming down her face from the intensity, managed to speak between gasps. Ambassador Vex Thara, this is absolutely extraordinary. The way the heat builds and then transforms into something almost euphoric. Our food scientists would be fascinated to understand the biochemical mechanisms at work here. Across the table, the Zephyrian council members exchanged confused glances. The humans weren't dying, they were enjoying themselves. Vex Thara's aide whispered urgently in her ear, Matriarch, the toxin should have liquefied their organs by now. They should be dead. But the humans weren't dead. They were laughing, sweating profusely, and asking for second helpings. Dr. Rodriguez pulled out his tablet and began taking notes excitedly. The crystalline structures seemed to dissolve on the tongue, releasing concentrated flavor compounds. And this burning sensation, it's triggering massive endorphin production. From an evolutionary standpoint, this suggests your species developed this as either a defensive mechanism or a ritualistic endurance test. Both, actually, admitted Council Member Zixalta without thinking, then immediately clamped his mandibles shut. Captain Chen wiped her streaming eyes and leaned forward with genuine interest. This is absolutely fascinating from a cultural perspective. Do Zephyrians build tolerance to these compounds over time? Is this dish part of coming-of-age ceremonies? The anthropological implications are staggering. Vexithara watched in growing horror as Lieutenant Commander Tanaka finished her entire portion and politely asked, "Would it be possible to get the recipe? Our ship's chef would love to attempt a human variation, perhaps with some complementary earth spices." "Recipe?" Vexithara stammered. "Oh yes," Dr. Rodriguez chimed in, still sweating but grinning broadly. "This could revolutionize human cuisine. We've been experimenting with extreme flavors for centuries, from ancient Sichuan peppercorns to Carolina reapers to synthetic capsaicin compounds. But this transcends mere heat. This is art." The Zephyrian Council sat in stunned silence as the humans continued their enthusiastic analysis of what was supposed to be their execution meal. Captain Chen pulled up holographic displays of Earth's spice trade routes, explaining humanity's historical obsession with increasingly intense flavors. Dr. Rodriguez launched into a detailed explanation of capsaicin receptors and pain-pleasure responses in human neurology. "You see," Captain Chen continued, "humans have this peculiar relationship with foods that cause us discomfort. We actively seek out experiences that trigger our danger responses. It's part of what makes us human. Spicy food, extreme sports, horror movies. We find joy in controlled adversity." Council member Carthun leaned over to Vexithara and whispered, "Are you telling me we tried to poison a species that voluntarily consumes poison for entertainment?" Vexithara could only nod, weakly as she watched the humans animatedly discussing the possibility of hosting a cultural exchange program focused entirely on extreme cuisine. They were already planning festivals, cooking competitions, and academic collaborations. As the evening progressed, what was meant to be humanity's last meal became the foundation of an unexpected alliance. The humans' enthusiastic reception of the Zephyrians' most deadly delicacy had accomplished something decades of diplomacy had failed to achieve: genuine mutual respect. Dr. Rodriguez raised his glass of water, desperately needed after the intense heat, in a toast to the Zephyrian Empire for sharing not just a meal but a window into your culture. May this be the first of many culinary adventures between our species. Vexithara found herself raising her own glass, wondering how her foolproof assassination plot had somehow transformed into the most successful diplomatic dinner in galactic history. Later, as the humans departed with carefully packaged samples and detailed preparation notes, Vexithara turned to her council. "I believe we may have underestimated this species." Council member Zix Alta nodded gravely. "Any species that responds to lethal toxins by asking for the recipe is not one to be trifled with." And thus began the longest-lasting peace treaty in galactic history, founded on the simple principle that humans will eat absolutely anything if it's spicy enough.